everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the last weekend of summer for me. A lot of you have already gone back or you're about to go back. It's tragic, we know. But what's even more tragic about being back in school is rushed mornings, which brings me into this video. This is an everyday look that I would do for back to school season because it is low maintenance, it's going to last, it's fresh faced, but also very on trend for fall. I kept the eyes pretty neutral while still adding definition, and then I went with the all day lip color that is very on trend coming into the season. As an ecotools ambassador, I'm going to be using some of my favorite brushes from their line to create this look, and this video is sponsored in part by them, and if you want to learn more about the brushes I'm using, hit those links in the description. So if you like this look, let's keep watching. Okay, so I'm starting off with the CoverGirl Outlast All Day Face Primer. I probably started using this about 2 weeks ago, and I love how creamy it is, and while it feels a little bit thicker going on than some of my other primers, it really does sink into the skin, and I feel like it fills my pores a little bit better than what I had been using. And I actually just used this on my friend for her wedding, and it did a really great job at making her foundation stick all day. To complement that, I'm using the CoverGirl Outlast Stay Luminous Foundation. I am the shade 842, and this again is pretty new in my routine, but I like it because for a liquid foundation, I feel like it's not as runny as some of the other ones that I'm used to wearing. It seems like that helps give better coverage with the product. And I'm using the new ecotools Custom Coverage Buffing Brush for this. It has really, really soft bristles that are nice for putting on powder, but I actually really like it for liquids because it doesn't leave any streaks, which is super important. The one thing that I'm not too keen on about this foundation is the scent. It doesn't smell bad, but it kind of smells like food or something, like a pumpkin candle, which I like that scent, but not necessarily in my makeup. So during the school year where I am working and going to school, tend to lay off a little bit of the super detailed stuff in my routine, one being my brows. So instead of pulling out all the stops, I'll use something like this, which is a 2-in-1 e.l.f. Essential Brow Pencil, I think it's called, where you've got the crayon on one side and a spoolie on the other. So I'll just brush through, assuming that my brows are already groomed. And then I'll use the crayon to fill them in. And this is the first brow pencil that I found that is dark enough to actually match my brow hairs like perfectly. So I like using it on days where I'm doing no makeup looks or just more of a natural look, because it matches the hairs so well that it hardly looks like I've filled them in at all. And then I'll take the spoolie and just brush everything through so that the color is even and the brow hairs are all placed where I want. As my eyeshadow base, I've been using the Maybelline Color Tattoo in Creamy Beige, which I believe is from their Leathers collection. Yes, it is. So yeah, this is a cool toned beige that's maybe a little bit deep for some skin tones, but I find that it still gives a really, really nice base for eyeshadows, and it will still enhance them and make them stand out, as well as stick on all day. For my eyes, I'm using this NYX Love in Paris palette, which is in Madeleines and Macaroons. And to start, I'm just going into this light peachy shade with one of the double-ended brushes from the ecotools Everyday Eyes set. I'm gonna go ahead and put that all over the lid. And I learned this trick when using stickier bases or primers, that putting a lighter shade down all over the lid, regardless of if that's the shade you actually want as like your shadow, it just kind of helps blending later on, because when you put a shadow right on top of a sticky base, it can be a little bit hard to blend out. So this just kind of gives it a little bit more room to play. Now with the same shading end, I'm going to go into this champagne-y shimmery color and put that on the lid as well. Now taking the other ecotools double-ended brush from that same set, I'm using the blend side to go into this deeper taupe color. I'm going to use that in my crease. And again, this is a pretty, eyeshadow down. Again, this is a pretty neutral look for the everyday. It's not going to be super glam, so I'm not going for a really dark crease or anything, but I do want to get some dimension in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and blend that in my crease and upwards, as well as in my outer corner. Then I'm gonna go in with this super light pink shade. I know it almost looks white, but it's actually got a hint of pink undertone to it. And I'm just gonna hop that on the smudge side, which is a little bit thinner, so I can just tap that right under my brow as a highlight. Now switching back to the other double-ended brush, I'm taking the Define side, which has a small angled tip brush, and I'm gonna go into this really, really deep brown, and I'm gonna use that as a liner. I'm gonna make sure I get all of my lash line, and I'll probably smoke this out in the corners a little bit. What I like to do when I'm using shadow as liner is I like to kind of wing it out a little bit and then blend it into my outer corner, because that gives a little bit of more depth there and softens up the liner at the same time. Like I said, we're keeping the eyes pretty subtle, but I am going to tight line just to really get my lashes to look thicker. So I'm going in with one of my new favorite tight lining liners, which is the Milani Supreme Kohl Kajal liner. It is a twist up format, but I feel like this is like the one that really, really goes on easily and stays all day while still being from the drugstore and not having to splurge. I also feel like this look would be really great for beginners. If you're just getting into makeup and you're just trying to figure out the correct placement of different shades and stuff, this might be a great place to start because it's not loud. The classic CoverGirl Clump Crusher, which is totally a tongue twister, has been one of my go-to mascaras for everyday lately because I feel like I can get a lot of length and volume out of it, but my lashes still look really defined and separated. On days where I'm really trying to get out the door, I forego contouring and just do kind of a light strobing look, meaning that I'm just going to use highlight instead of the whole bronzer contour highlight. So I'm using City Color Spotlight Highlight in case you didn't guess. Let me know if y'all are tired of me using this because I sure am not. It is still my favorite highlight. So I'm just going to pat that onto the tops of my cheekbones. And what's nice about this too is that you can kind of get away with not wearing blush when you use this highlight because it has a tiny, tiny pink undertone that will add a little bit of color to your cheeks, even though I'm not spreading it all over my cheeks. I'm gonna do that on the bridge of my nose as well and the Cupid's bow. Before I do my lips, I'm just going to dip the ecotools large powder brush into the e.l.f. Perfect Finish HD powder and lightly dust that all over my face. And then to finish off this low maintenance all day look, I'm going to be using a lipstick that I know is going to last all day. And this is the ColourPop Ultra Matte Lip in the shade Bumble, which I feel like is a really nice shade going into fall because it is this kind of dusty, pinky terracotta. So I'm going to go ahead and apply a couple thin layers of that. So here's the finished look. For busy mornings where I just need to get out the door, but I am going to be gone all day, I'm loving this look because it is low maintenance, it's going to last me, but it still looks polished and very on trend for fall. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this look, give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. I will see you in my next video. Bye!